Los Angeles finds itself once again at the heart of a national firestorm. The streets of downtown, usually just a chaotic ballet of traffic and commerce, have become a stage for raw anger and defiance. For 4 consecutive days since last Friday, thousands of Angelenos have poured into the Civic Center. Their chants echo against the concrete towers, a powerful response to a new wave of aggressive immigration enforcement. This is not a new story for this city, but the intensity feels different this time. The air is thick with a mixture of tear gas remnants and the palpable fear that has gripped immigrant communities from Boyle Heights to the San Fernando Valley. The protests were directly triggered by a series of targeted raids conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. These operations, ordered by the Trump administration, unfolded with jarring precision across the city. Agents descended on places central to the city's working-class immigrant life, including the bustling fashion district and a Home Depot parking lot known for day laborers. In just the past week, these actions have resulted in the arrests of over 100 people. The federal government calls it enforcing the law. But to the families torn apart and the communities left reeling, it feels like an occupation, a declaration of war on their very existence in the city they call home. The confrontations between demonstrators and federal agents have been tense and sometimes violent. Protesters, fueled by desperation and a sense of injustice, have attempted to physically block Border Patrol vehicles from transporting those who were detained. Some have thrown rocks and water bottles, acts of frustration against a heavily armed federal force. In response, agents have deployed crowd control measures that have become distressingly familiar. They have used tear gas, which stings the eyes and chokes the lungs, along with flashbang grenades and pepper balls. These clashes have transformed parts of Los Angeles into scenes that resemble a conflict zone, not a major American metropolis. This recent escalation is more than just policy. It is personal for countless Angelenos. The city's identity is deeply intertwined with its immigrant populations, who are the backbone of its economy and the soul of its culture. The raids are seen not just as an attack on undocumented individuals, but as an assault on the fabric of Los Angeles itself. The fear is tangible. Parents worry about taking their children to school, and workers are afraid to show up for their jobs. The protests are a direct reflection of this deep-seated anxiety, a city rising up to protect its own people from what they see as a hostile federal government. The situation escalated dramatically when the federal government in Washington, D.C. made an unprecedented move. In response to the growing protests, the Trump administration authorized the deployment of a significant military force to Los Angeles. Approximately 4,000 National Guard soldiers and 700 active-duty Marines were ordered into the city. This decision marks the first time in decades that a state's National Guard has been federalized and deployed without a request from the governor. The official reason given by the administration is to protect federal property, assist immigration enforcement, and restore order. But for many, the sight of uniformed soldiers on their streets is a chilling symbol of federal overreach. The deployment is a massive logistical and financial undertaking. It is expected to last for at least 60 days, at an estimated cost to the Department of Defense of about $134 million. The troops are not just standing guard, they are a visible presence meant to project federal authority. Soldiers are now stationed outside key federal buildings, including the imposing Metropolitan Detention Center downtown. While they have not yet been used for direct crowd control, their presence alone has fundamentally altered the atmosphere of the city. It sends a clear message from Washington: the federal government, not local or state leaders, is in charge here. The legal and ethical questions surrounding this deployment are enormous. A leaked letter from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealed a startling request. Noem asked for the military to be given the authority to detain or even arrest protesters, a power typically reserved for civilian law enforcement. The request also included military drone surveillance and other support. Legal experts quickly pointed out that such actions would likely be barred by the Posse Comitatus Act, which restricts the use of the military for domestic law enforcement. To proceed would likely require invoking the Insurrection Act, a drastic measure last used in Los Angeles during the 1992 riots. For Angelenos, the military presence is a source of profound unease. It represents a dangerous blurring of lines between military and civilian life. The sight of armed soldiers from an outside authority patrolling their neighborhoods is deeply unsettling. It raises fears that the protests, which began as a civilian response to policy, could be met with military force. The deployment has turned Los Angeles into a testing ground for the limits of federal power, and its residents are caught in the middle of a tense standoff between their state government and Washington. The city holds its breath, wondering what these soldiers will be ordered to do next. The federal military deployment has ignited a fierce political and legal battle, pitting California's state leadership directly against the White House. Governor Gavin Newsom, alongside Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles, has vehemently opposed the presence of federal troops. They argue that local and state law enforcement are fully capable of managing the situation. Governor Newsom described the deployment as a blatant abuse of power and a manufactured crisis designed to intimidate and provoke. He and California Attorney General Rob Bonta have not just spoken out, they have taken legal action, filing an emergency motion in federal court to block what they call an illegal and immoral occupation of their state. Mayor Bass has been equally forceful in her condemnation. She called the decision to send in troops a deliberate attempt by the Trump administration to sow chaos in a city that is already on edge. She has insisted that the LAPD has the resources and training to handle the protests without military intervention. Both the governor and the mayor see the deployment as a political stunt, an effort to create a spectacle for a national audience at the expense of the safety and stability of Los Angeles. Their legal challenge, while not opposing the protection of federal buildings, strongly contests any use of the military for general law enforcement or to assist in immigration raids. The controversy has rippled across the country, creating deep divisions in Congress. Democratic leaders have been almost unanimous in their condemnation. California Senator Alex Padilla, along with prominent national figures like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, have labeled the deployment as unlawful and dangerously inflammatory. They argue it undermines democratic principles and risks escalating a tense situation into open violence. Their Republican counterparts have been more divided. While some have supported the president's show of force, others, like Senators Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, have expressed serious concern, particularly over the use of active-duty Marines on American soil against American citizens. This political clash highlights a fundamental disagreement about power and authority in the United States. President Trump has publicly feuded with Governor Newsom, refusing to rule out an invocation of the Insurrection Act. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defended the deployment in congressional testimony, citing his own experiences during protests in 2020 as justification. The result is a fractured political landscape where the safety of a major American city has become a pawn in a larger ideological struggle. The federal government insists it is maintaining order, while state and local leaders accuse it of being the primary source of the disorder. The city is gripped by a pervasive sense of anxiety, especially within its vast immigrant communities. The fear of ICE raids has forced many families to alter their routines. Parents are reportedly keeping their children home from summer school programs, and workers are hesitant to commute, fearing encounters with federal agents. Los Angeles Unified School District Superintendent Alberto Carvalho has even implemented special safety protocols for school graduations, a testament to the level of fear that now permeates everyday activities. This is not just a political debate, it is a crisis affecting the well-being of millions. The security measures have transformed downtown Los Angeles into a fortress. While the situation was relatively calm on Tuesday morning, with more guard members visible than protesters, the underlying tension remains. Police and military forces are a constant presence. On Monday, clashes led to 113 arrests, mostly for failure to disperse, and 2 police officers were reported injured. The LAPD has used less than lethal rounds to break up crowds, adding to the atmosphere of conflict. For residents and commuters, navigating the city has become a challenge, with street closures and the constant possibility of being caught up in a demonstration or a police action. The future is deeply uncertain, and several outcomes are possible. The federal court hearing scheduled for Thursday on California's legal challenge could be a pivotal moment. A ruling in favor of the state could force a withdrawal of the troops, while a ruling for the federal government could embolden the administration and lead to an even greater military role. If unrest continues, Mayor Bass has not ruled out imposing a citywide curfew. Meanwhile, President Trump may yet decide to invoke the Insurrection Act, which would grant the military broad powers to enforce laws and suppress dissent, a move that would undoubtedly plunge the city into an even deeper crisis. Ultimately, the people of Los Angeles are caught in the crossfire of a high-stakes political war. The mood is a volatile mix of anger, fear, and a resilient spirit of defiance. Angelinos have a long history of standing up for their communities, but the current situation feels uniquely perilous. They face a federal government determined to impose its will and the very real prospect of military action on their streets. The city feels like it is on a knife's edge, waiting to see if its leaders can de-escalate the conflict or if the City of Angels will descend further into chaos. Thanks for stopping by Today Hot Reels. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a like. Your support helps us bring you more amazing content. Please stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Pinterest, and Threads for the latest updates and trending reels. Subscribe now and be part of the fun.